It's relatively easy.
Oh, good.
Where's Peretz? Is he on there? Your Maish doesn't have a cell phone, right? I think he thinks he's in my mother's house.
No, he's not. He came home. He's hungry.
There.
He's hungry.
Oh, okay. What, I think I could give him food? Doesn't think I could give him food?
I don't know.
Real though. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So to Chazar from yesterday, the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda that somebody can eat that from the food that's asur, right? Meaning Rabbi Yehuda's sheet was a steer in Rabbi Yehuda. Is he concerned that if you do bedikas chametz after the 6th hour that you might end up eating the chametz or not? We said it's a machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. Chachamim said, how's anybody gonna eat the chametz that he's doing bedika for if he's going to search for the chametz to destroy it, right? And then we had other kashas on him from tying knots on Shabbos and not to do a bechor that's bleeding, and then we said chametz can get mixed up with bread, so that's a reason why we have to be more strict with chametz. And then the Mishna says, start a Mishna. Oh, we did the Mishna, right? Machlokes when the last times are for chametz, which we're going to need to know tonight. So there was a 3-way machlokes in the Mishnah on was it Yud Aleph Beis? Yud Aleph Beis, right? 3-way machlokes in the Mishnah of when the Saif Zmanim are for chametz. Right? Rameir says you could eat chametz the whole 5th hour, you burn it in the beginning of the 6th hour. Rabbi Yehuda says you eat it the 4th hour, in the 5th hour it's hanging, right? And then meaning you're not allowed to eat it, but you're allowed to benefit from it. And in the 6th hour, the beginning of the 6th is when you burn it. And then at the end of the Mishnah, Rebbi Gamliel had said that chulin could eat the 4th hour, truma because you don't want to get rid of truma, so you want to give more time. So truma gets another hour, and then you burn it in the beginning of the 6th. So according to all opinions in the Mishnah, you burn the chametz in the beginning of the 6th. The machlokes is just what are you not allowed to? When do you have to stop eating? All right. So those are the 3 shitas. We're going to have it a lot tonight. And first, the Gemara goes through the first kasha. The Gemara asks. Not kasha. The Gemara goes through 2 shitas exactly how many hours does a person make a mistake? Right? Meaning the machlokes from Meir and Rebbi Yehuda is how mistaken are people when they're estimating hours. So that we said Abaya there were 2 pshatim in what Abaya said. Either it's a fraction according to Rebbi Yehuda, or meaning nothing according to Rebbi Yehuda, or a fraction, and according to Rebbi Meir, it would either be a half hour, or what was the other one? You make a mistake a half hour. What was the first sheet? The first sheet.
That was the first sheet. The second was an hour and a little bit.
That was the first. Am I mixing them up? The first one wasn't an hour. I'm sorry. Right. The first sheet there was a half hour. The second sheet there was an hour. Right. Okay. So that leads us to the top of Yud Beis Amud Aleph, a nice short Amud. If you don't do Rashi's, right? Yeah. So also Rav Huna. So again, basically we said that the mistake for Rabbi Yehuda at least is either a half hour or an hour, right? So also Rav Huna, Berei Rabbi Yehuda, Amar l'shmaitza kamei de Rava. He came and he said this shmaitza over in front of Rava. Amar, so Rava said, Uma ilu daikinon bahani sadi. If let's say we would be medayik in them. From the word medayik means to check into these witnesses. To hide the kamar shalosh betchila shalosh. Maybe the guy when he said, now we're back to capital punishment, right? I mean, that's what we were discussing, where they're saying testimony that a guy killed, right? Or truth is any testimony. But when we're interrogating them, so maybe the guy that said that it happened in the 3rd hour of the day meant the beginning of the 3rd hour. And the guy that said the 5th hour meant in the end of the 5th hour. And it should be considered an edus mukcheshes, right? Which is how do you call mukcheshes? It's a stira. It's not correct. And we shouldn't kill them. And we're going to go kill them from a suffix. Doesn't v'rachmanu amar v'shaftu ha'eda v'tzilu ha'eda. Yeah, parrots, makas. Yeah, that you should judge the Eidah and you try and save him. Meaning we try and do whatever we can to get these witnesses. We mentioned this kasha yesterday, right? So we try and save them. So why don't we say that the guy, if they're making mistakes, So pull the mistake away. So if he said third hour, he means the beginning of the third. The other guy said the guy that said 5 means the end of the fifth, and they're so far apart from each other, and therefore let's save them from being killed. Right? So you can't say that it's such a mistake. So Rava has a different shot. According to Rameir, a person can be mistaken up to 2 hours. Meaning, you ask him what time it is, he can make a mistake. You ask him 10 o'clock, he says, "Oh, I think it happened at 12 o'clock." Right? And Rabbi Yehuda holds a person makes a 3-hour mistake. According to Rameir, a person makes a mistake of 2 hours minus a drop. The story happened either at the beginning of the second hour or the end of the third hour, right? Which is almost a 2-hour discrepancy. One of them made a mistake 2 hours and change, and therefore that's why it's such a discrepancy. The Rebbi Yehuda, no, a person can make 3-hour mistake, chaser mashu, minus a drop. The story happened either in the beginning of the third hour or the end of the fifth hour. One of them made a mistake of up to 3 hours. So therefore, the testimony will work. And the point is that's how many hours a person may be mistaken on erev Pesach. So since it's also midaraisa to eat chametz on erev Pesach after the 6th hour, so therefore we're going to ban people from eating before the 6th hour. So the obvious question is going to be, which Gemara is going to ask in a few minutes, right? Is if that's the case, a person makes a mistake up to 3 hours, so then we should stop eating chametz way before the 6th hour, not just the 4th or the 5th, right? It should really be from the 3rd, right? So we'll see that on the base. Fine.
Also, are you forced to say here that only one person out of 2 can make a mistake? What if they both made a mistake?
That's interesting. That's sort of what Rava's kasha was.
But he doesn't answer it.
Right. So he just adds on hours.
He makes it worse.
Yeah. So you're really asking. I think what you're asking is Taisus kasha, the top Taisus, right? So I said, I don't know if that's exactly what you're asking, but yeah.
It's the inverse of my question. It's the same
right.
question.
So Taisus' answer is that we're not saying they both make mistakes. To say that they both are making mistakes in the opposite direction, that we're not going to do. Right? Meaning, what the kasha is, so if each guy can make a mistake of 2 hours or 3 hours, according to Rebbi Yehuda, so let's say the story happened in the 4th hour, right? So according to Rebbi Yehuda, the guy can be saying the truth if he says it happened in the 1st hour, and the guy can be saying the truth if it's happened in the 7th hour, right? So, okay, so Toys is saying we're not going to say
that
that
it must be that it's dependent on factors of the day. It doesn't work if noon happened in the
That
middle
would
or
be his
sunset
6-hour
happened.
difference. What you're saying, that would be
very
a
right,
6-hour
very
difference.
good. We're going to see that on our base. What are you saying?
That would be a 6-hour difference if you say that the 3 hours in each direction. That's like a
Correct.
6-hour difference.
Right. It would be, but Lamaisa, why don't you say that each guy can make a mistake in the proper time that it happened? Meaning, let's say, right, Ruvain makes the mistake 3 hours early. Shimon makes the mistake 3 hours late. Great, now we have a 6-hour discrepancy.
So then the whole way there should be bottled.
Well, that would be the fault. Well, maybe not. Maybe it shouldn't be bottled. Okay, but Tysus is saying that we don't say that. We only make a mistake in one direction. We're only meaning you can't say that each one can't be mistaken, but us as trying to figure out the accuracy of the edus. We're not going to say, oh, this guy must have made a mistake this way, and we're going to allow an edus to get through that has a 6-hour discrepancy.
Yeah, can I ask you about totally balabatish? What happens when something happens at night? How did they tell time at night? Because the whole thing here is talking about the sun. So how did they tell any kind of time at night?
I have no idea. I mean, you could theoretically do it with the moon.
The moon.
When the moon rises, won't work around Rosh Chodesh. It won't work around Rosh Chodesh. In the middle of the month, it'll work because the moon rises and sets also. But you're right, Rosh Chodesh, I have no idea. I don't know.
It would depend on the time of year too.
depending on the
What?
time of year also. Yeah, depending on the
Yeah,
time of
because
year. also.
sometimes the moon rises at 2:00
Sure,
in
they
the
had a way of
afternoon.
telling time.
I think they could. If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
I think they could tell time by the what's it called, the constellations, the North
yeah?
Star.
Then you got to already
Yeah, I
be
mean,
a
because they would
scientist.
what?
You could ask much simpler. What happens when it's cloudy?
Right. No, so that
Oh,
we
that's
have.
gonna
No,
we
but
have-
come
I'm
up, that's
talking,
gonna come
I'm
up.
talking every day. A cloudy.
No, but I think that's how they do.
Every day.
I think
Right.
with the relation of the constellations and the North Star or whatever, there's some episode.
Basically,
calculation.
everybody
But
back
who,
then.
who,
had to be a
who,
Rabbi
who
Belsky
knows
then,
that?
right? Rabbi Belsky.
Rabbi Yisrael, that, yeah, he used to be.
Well, we
there.
don't know it, but if
Yeah.
they needed it, so then they knew it.
I'm going to say more Balabatish. When was there ever testimony at night? It was pitch dark. There was no lights.
Oh,
You
so
can never
that's-
say it.
Oh,
So,
I'm one-upping you on the Balabatish teretz right there.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, they couldn't. Who could testify
That's
at night?
because you're a Talmud Chacham, so you can answer better about this.
Yeah, very good. Halavai. Okay, let's see weiter. Yes, fine. So now Tanan, we learned in the Mishna how you bite can say b'sheva chakiras. You see, right? Chakiras didn't just happen since Europe, since in the yeshiva system started, right? It was way back when. 7 chakiras, 7. How do you touch chakiras, anyways? Investigations.
Examine.
I'm so yeshivish, I can't even touch chakira, right? Yeah.
No, Hakiras is standard questions.
maybe it's an intense investigation.
Of that, mamish. Okay, I hear. Very good. So Tanan, so you might gonna say b'sheva chakiras, be'ez shvua, right? Which shvua? Now, what does that mean? What week? It doesn't mean what week. It means which year of the 7-year Shemitah cycle did it happen, right? Which is another thing that they had to keep in mind. Does anybody here know what cycle we are on in the Shemitah?
Well, now it's not Nageya. It used to be Nageya in
Right,
those
that's
days.
true. That's true, right? But I'm just saying that.
Aren't we
was
like
one
2 years away from Shemitah? I think we're in like the 5th year.
I
Only
don't know,
2
I
years
thought
away?
5th or 6th.
I think 2015 was a Shemitah year, so it'd be 2 years away.
Yeah, but
There
this
you go.
means which
They-
Shemitah cycle? It's like
They
the
probably used it that to keep
178th
everybody in
Shemitah
mind
cycle.
with Shemitah.
Right,
I think next year, Shmita.
right. I think that's what I thought, but I don't know.
I think next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's really both. It's more than just, right? Gershon's right. It's more than both. It's more than just the 7-year. You got to know the Yovel cycle too.
The Yovel cycle, yeah.
The Yovel together with the Shemitah, yeah. Yeah, fine. That's one.
And then,
Be'ez
but what
Shana-
happened? Okay, forget it. I'm to make this shigga. Because the machlokes is the 50th year count the first year of the next shemitah, or it doesn't count. So then it's already so that you can't
Correct.
count on
That's
the
a
guy.
different- Correct. So you could be off by a year, is what you're saying. You could be
Yeah.
off by a year.
Rashi says Shemitah.
Right. No, because Eza Shavua is which of the 7-year cycle of Yovel.
From the Shemitah.
Yeah.
No, then Eza Shana. Shana is the Shemitah. Meaning, so you got to know the first thing, you got to know which.
I'm
Yovel.
looking at Rashi now.
Right, so Be'ez Shana means of Shemitah, but the first one is Eza.
Shavua.
Look at the
Shavua.
next 4
Shavua
words.
also says Shemitah. Be'ez
Look at the next
Shemitah
4 words.
shall Yovel.
Right. Sheyesh B'Shev. So you have to know which of the Yovels it is.
Yeah.
And which of the meaning the 7 cycles of Yovel. So you have to know which one of those cycles it was. You also have to know which year of that particular cycle that you're in. It's like hours and minutes, I guess.
Right.
Right? I guess something like that. Right? Be'ez Chodesh. Okay, that's a pretty obvious one. Which month? The Kam of a Chodesh. What day of the month? Be'ez Yom. Right? What day of the week? Be'ez Shah. What time, and Be'ez Makam, which place? Those are the chakiras. All right, V'tanya, ma bein chakiras lebedikas. What's the difference between chakiras, which, like you said, is like intense investigations, lebedikas, to just checking them out? Chakiras. So chakiras Amar echad mehen eino yedeya. If one of the guys says, I don't know what day of the month it was, I don't know what day of the week, whatever, any of those 7, edus and betela. It's the edus is gone. We throw out the edus. Bedikas. But bedikas, which bedikas is basically like what color clothing, what color yarmulke, what were there people in the show? Those minor things. But bedikas afilu shnei amim ein anu yodim edus and kayemus. Even if both of them said we have no idea what the guy was wearing, we're still going to take their edus. Favina ba ma'ishna chakiras and ma'ishna bedikas. What's the difference between chakiras? What's the difference between bedikas? Mamrinon chakiras by chakiras amar echan and yedeya dus and betela. the edus is gone. The habile edus she'iyata yochel la'azima. It's edus that you cannot make them zaymimin. Meaning, because in order to make edom zaymimin, right? Edom zaymimin means if two witnesses come and say that these guys were false. Now, in order for them to say that, they have to say, well, at that time of that year, et cetera, this guy was with us in this particular place. But if a guy says, I don't know what day of the month it is, then how can you disprove him by saying that he was with you if he didn't even say where he was, right? So therefore, by the chakiras, if they say any idea, then we throw out the testimony because there's no way to disprove them. Bedikus you can, just because the guy doesn't know what color shirt.
Needs to be, in order to be a kosher edus, you need to have that should be able to be zayimim.
Yes, you should be able to be making.
I could just say I saw that. You don't have to go. Oh yeah, I see. So you need the times and the dates.
Correct.
I got
all
it.
seven of those. You need all the 7 of those.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So now where are we going with this? What does the Gemara want with this? If you're going to say that people make such long mistakes, right? 2 hours, 3 hours. Let's say a guy comes and says, I saw the murder at 3 o'clock, right? And then 2 witnesses come and say, how could you have seen the murder at 3 o'clock? You were with us at the ball game at 3 o'clock. He says, oh, I made a mistake. I made a mistake by an hour or 2. And we said that people do make that mistake. So now we go back to being an edus that you can't make it. You can't make it to Mitzvah.
Why? Someone can come and say, "What do you mean?" So for 4 o'clock, you with me?
No, but he can say, "I made a mistake."
He made a mistake already. You can only make a mistake an hour.
By an hour.
Oh, so we're talking about from one set of edim.
A guy came and said 3 o'clock.
Right.
So then someone said, "You with me 3 o'clock?" Okay, so I made a mistake. It's 4 o'clock.
Right.
So that 4 o'clock. Once he says someone comes and it's 4 o'clock.
No, then a new guy comes and says 4 o'clock. He says, "No, it must have been 3 o'clock."
He's out the door.
Well, you mean so you have to have multiple people, multiple edim making zayman doesn't work. You can't combine 2 different edim to make zayman.
You could have one set of edim come and say, for that set of.
Well, what do you say?
You could have one set of edim come and say, for that set of 6 hours you were with us.
Oh, so that's really going to be right. So that's what the Gemara answers. I think that's the way the Gemara means to answer, right? So Gemara answers the Yavina lo kulu tosai. No, we give them the entire mistake window, right? Meaning they have to be with them the entire mistake, the entire window of right. That's what it has to be. Okay.
In order to be Zerman, you can't be with him at 3 o'clock. You have to be with him from 2:30
right. You have to say they were with us for this window of time. The Rameir, now how much time is it? So the Rameir, you give him from the beginning of the 1st hour until the 5th hour. But really you should give him more because Rameir is saying 3 hours. No, before the 1st hour of the day, nobody's making a mistake. So you're only going to back them up till the 1st hour of the day, even though theoretically you should back it up another hour, right? But that a person's not going to make a mistake. You can even from the beginning of the 1st hour to the end of the 6th hour, right? Well, I think I said Rameir 3 hours. It meant 2 hours. You have a little 3 hours. Until the end of the 6th. You should really give him early. Ella. Right? Hold on. Ella. On time of base. Ella Baini Imam and she. People don't make a mistake between day and night. But really, we should give him later, right? Because it's 3 hours.
Hey, Yaakov, they do make a mistake. That's why you have to. That's why you daven with the nights and not by a lois, because they do make a mistake. That's why you really should be davening lechatchila a lois.
Right.
But they say people make a mistake.
That's what it's saying. I mean, you're saying here he's not making a mistake.
Yeah.
That's not a mistake in that's not the type of mistake.
Why not?
I mean, it is a mistake of whether it's day or not. You're
talking about a mistake of minutes versus a mistake of hours.
Love daven. Allah till nets is an hour and 12 minutes according to some.
No, but that's because any other time would be arbitrary. We have 2 times. One is alois, one is nets. You could have said half hour after alois, but there's no official time half hour after Alois. The next official time is nuts.
What? Okay, so
only-
you're saying it's only a few
arbitrary.
minutes.
Anything else? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, very good. But whatever it is, so it's saying really you would give him later, but nobody makes a mistake between the 5th hour and the 7th hour. Why? Because in the 5th hour, the sun is one way. In the 7th hour, right? We said this yesterday. That's too far a mistake. So that right. So then we don't allow such a mistake. So that's why you limit it from the 1st hour to the 6th hour. Yeah. Now the Gemara is going to say, so Tanan Remeir Oimer Oichlin Kol Hey start from Betchilas Vav. Remeir says you eat the whole 5th hour and you burn at the beginning of the 6th hour. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer Oichlin Kol Dalid, you eat the whole 4th hour. But Toilan Kol Hey, you let it hang the 5th hour, right? Meaning you can't eat it, but you don't have to burn it. The start from Betchilas Vav, and then you burn the beginning of the 6th hour. Labaya Aliva the Remeir Damar Ein Adam Time Toy Velo Klum. According to Abaye, who says you don't make any mistake, Nechel Kula Shis. Meaning, if nobody makes a mistake, so now let's turn the table, right? And say, if people don't make a mistake and everybody knows what the proper hour is, so why can't you eat chametz up until the 6th hour? Right? Nechel kula shis. Ulach l'shanami domer adam toya mashu nechelat soif shis. And the one the version of Abaye that we said that a person makes a slight mistake, so let them eat chametz until the end of the 6th. Meaning that zman. But when you start, you should be able to eat right up until this man of burning, right? Because nobody makes a mistake. Abaye according to Rebbi, explaining Rebbi Yehuda, that says a person makes a mistake half an hour. Eat until half the 6th. And according to the Shita that says that it's an hour and mashu nechalat soifei, then eat until the end of the 5th. Elam Rabaya. So we have a different teretz. Eidus, the Elo is controversial whether you guidus it or not, right? Because whether it's a new teretz or a continuation of the previous. Amar Abaya, Eidus Masura Lizrizim Chametz L'chol Maser. Eidus, the only people that are Zrizim that are particular about knowing the time are going to say Eidus. So therefore, we're more loose with them. Chametz l'chol maser, but chametz, everybody has to stop eating chametz, right? Meaning only Rashi says the only people that are very well aware of time, they know that they're going to get interrogated bad, exactly what times there are, right? So therefore, the only people that are very sure that they knew what the hours were are going to ever testify. But chametz, everybody's got to stop eating chametz. So therefore, we have to add on time, even though we shouldn't have to add on as much time because everybody could potentially make a mistake, right? So the Gemara continues with the same kasha. Yeah.
In the kashas of the Gemara that we just had, the word shis, the 6th hour, refers to chatzos or the beginning of the 6th hour.
Right. So that's what Naftali was asking yesterday, right? But it really means chatzos. It really means chatzos.
But he uses it in two different contexts. Kula shis and saif shis mean two different things.
Kula shis, it means
the whole 5th hour.
This right.
But saif shis means
6th hour doesn't mean the 6th. It means right when somebody is 1 year old that he's in his 2nd year.
Right, but there's no difference then between kula shis and ad saif shis.
Well, it's a fraction of a second. It's a fraction of a second. That's all.
How? It goes until 10:59:59, according to both.
Well, which sheet are you asking on?
What does kula shis mean? The whole 6th hour?
Yes, which is up
and
until.
Doesn't Taisra say it's lavdafka because you have to burn it by then?
Right. Yes, that's true. That's
yeah,
okay.
that's
you have
included
to finish
in both of them.
What?
That's in both of them.
Correct.
But kulashis is mashma the Gemara is saying until chatzos. Ad soifshis means until the 6th hour.
Who you're asking on which sheet here?
The first kasha.
Way back, according to Abaye, according to Rameir.
Yeah.
Right, eat the whole 6th hour. Right? Yeah, till it becomes usher. That's what it's saying.
Till chatzos.
Which is what Taisus is saying, that you can't be mamish chatzos because you have to have it done by chatzos. Right.
Okay, but is this including the Gezeira of Chazal, which is according to everyone, or not?
No.
So
Which
our Mishnah,
Gezeira? Which
our
Gezeira?
Mishnah, that you have to burn before chatzos.
Yes, this is going without that Gezeira. As far as the way I'm understanding, it's without
That's
that
the
Gezeira.
kasha on the whole thing. Our Mishnah includes it in all cheetahs.
Right.
Okay.
Correct. That's the way that's a yeah. Okay, yeah, very good. So let's see weiter. Rava aliba de Rameir, and Rava according to Rameir, Damar Adam Toya Shtei Shois Chaser Mashu, that a person makes a mistake 2 hours in Mashu, Mitchilas Heiloi Nechel, so stop eating from the beginning of the fifth. So Gemara says, no, nobody's going to make a mistake between the 5th hour and the 7th hour, which again, the 7th hour is Chatzos. Yeah, because Hey Chamam Mizrach, Zayin Chamam Ma'ariv. On the 5th, the sun is still on the east side of the sky. And once you get to the 7th, it's on the west side, so nobody's going to make a mistake. So the Gemara says, Iyachi b'shis nami nechel. So then eat in the 6th too. This I don't get the havamin of this kasha. Eat it in the 6th. What do you mean? It's straight up in the air. Very difficult to tell which way the sun is going. You want, right? Nobody, the 6th hour, that's the 1 hour you could really make a mistake. You don't know if it's tilting towards the east or tilting towards the west, right? Okay, but that's what the Gemara. I don't know what the Gemara's Havamina was. What?
That's halacha l'maisa by sukkah. This svara, just yema b'karnisa.
Yeah, with the schach.
By gevayas yasser mama. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Right on the first daf in Sukkah, right? Fine, very good. V'Rava leave it to Rebbi Yehuda Damar Adam Toya Gimel Shois Chaser Mashu, that a person makes a mistake 3 hours. Mitchilas Daled Loinechel, stop eating in the beginning of the 4th. So one gives the same answer. Hey, Chamam Mizrach, Sheva Chamam Ma'ariv. No, the 5th hour the sun is on the east. 7th it's on the west. The Chosha Kain Dalet and a Kosher Kain Dalet. So if you're not going to mix up the 5th hour with the 7th hour because the sun is on either side of the sky, so for sure the 4th hour you're not going to confuse it. So the Gemara says Iyachi be'hei nami neichel. So then the 5th hour you should be able to eat because you're not going to confuse it with the 7th hour. So you're going to buy leave it the Rava Eidus Masur L'Zrizim Chametz L'Chomos. So the same teretz as we said before, that Eidus is given over to Zrizim. So therefore we don't have to be as careful with them. But chametz is given to everybody, so we have to be more careful. We have to answer the chametz earlier. But Rava Amar. And Rava says, Lav hainu tamid Rebbi Yehuda, ela Rebbi Yehuda latamei. This is not what Rebbi Yehuda is saying. Rebbi Yehuda is going according to a different sheet of his. He says, the Amar ain't biur chametz ela sreifa, because Rebbi Yehuda holds that you have to, this is in the next parak, that the only way to get rid of chametz is by burning it. V'yovu le rabbanon shah achas lilkot ba eitzim. And the rabbanon gave him an hour to go get wood in order to burn it. So that's why we say you got to burn the chametz by the 5th, so that it gives you an hour till chatzos in order to be able to burn it, right? Which is very interesting. You know,
that's
right?
a raya for what we were talking about the Aruch HaShulchan, whatever. Why didn't he get it the day before?
Right.
Now he finishes his bagel and he says, "Oh, and then I need to."
That's right. Now I gotta go get wood. Right. So that's your spin on it. I had a different spin on it. Right. My spin was that who does Sreifas Chametz? The men, right? If the women were doing Sreifas Chametz, I can promise you they would have had the wood a week before, right? But since the men are the ones burning the Chametz, we got to give them that last hour, right? That's the joke, right? If men, how does it say? If men were making Pesach and women were making Sukkot, they both start erev Pesach, right? That's the joke, right? So this Gemara is Mamash Araya. So Rebbi Yehuda said we gotta give him an hour to get some wood. Yeah. So but that this teretz doesn't hold for so long. So Esvei Rabbeinu L'Rava, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Emasai Shaloi B'Shas B'Yura. When is it that you have to burn the chametz? That's only when it's not time to burn it, meaning before chatzos. But once it comes time after chatzos, then you can get rid of the chametz any way you want, flushing it down the toilet or grinding it up and throwing it into the water, etc., etc. Right? So therefore, what's the kasha? So if after the 6th hour you can get rid of the chametz all you want, so let's say the guy, even that hour, the guy was lazy about getting his wood. Good. So he doesn't burn the chametz. He'll get rid of it in another way if you can't find wood. Meaning, if Rabbi Yehuda really says that after the Zman Beer, you can get rid of it any way you want, so then why does he have to give you an hour to get wood? Let's say you can't get wood. Give him up until chatzos. If he doesn't have wood handy, okay, so then he won't burn it. He'll throw it out some other way.
It's still mitzvah b'streifa.
True, but we don't have to give an extra hour. We don't have to add an hour of time onto that.
We want him to be able to do the mitzvah.
And that's very nice. If you want to do the mitzvah, be a little bit more responsible. But we don't have to. If the only way to get rid of it is chametz, then is burning, then we have to give him that hour. But if it's just for a mitzvah, so okay. So if he's an oisvarf, so he'll throw it out.
So Rabbi Yehuda, this is the sheep. This sheep of Rabbi Yehuda says that for any mitzvah kiyumis, we're not allowed to make gedarim.
I can't say that that's a rule. I cannot say that the rule.
That's what comes out.
That's what comes out. Yes, that's what comes out. Yeah, I don't see any other way to understand it. Right?
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if you're going to say that as a rule. It's just a kasha. I'm saying, and it's not just a kasha, but that's the way Rashi.
He's slugging up his answer. Rava can't answer that it's Rabbi Yehuda. She does say he can. He still can. Rava holds that Rabbi Yehuda gave it together for a mitzvah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're saying. Listen, that's your kasha. I'm saying we're afraid that if we don't think about it this way, we're telling you that Rabbi Yehuda is saying that he's got to tell you have to stop eating chametz an hour early because that's the only thing that's going to get the man off the couch. Stop eating chametz so that you can go get wood. I mean, does that? This is that's a wild.
This is chametz
I'm saying that the guy doesn't want to get off the couch. We got to ban him from eating chametz for an hour before the proper zman, so he goes and gets himself wood. Okay.
Rabbi Yehuda must have used our matzahs, not the Sephardi ones.
And therefore, I mean, because it was easier to make.
Yeah, you try getting him off the couch, you know.
I hear. Okay, whatever it is. So Elo Amarova, and this is the Maskonas Hadvarim. Elo Amarova, Gezerim Shum Yomim Mu'unan. This whole thing is because of Gezer that it might be a cloudy day, and there's no sun. Right? So Avrami and Rabban, that's what you would both mechavan to this, that it's a cloudy day, very difficult to tell the time when it's a cloudy day. So since we're choshen, it's a cloudy day, right? So therefore they had to ban an extra hour just to make sure that you can't tell, right? I guess more than that, even if it's a cloudy day, you can base it based on how bright the sun is behind the clouds, like exactly around what time it is, what time the thing is. Yeah. Question is, this is just an obvious kasha, which we're not going to dwell on, but so then why aren't they worried about testimony on a cloudy day also? Right? Okay. Yeah. What are you saying?
Why is Rava proverbially kicking the gift horse in the mouth? Abaya, his bar plukta, gave him an answer, and now he's trying again and again not to say like Abaya. What does he have against saying that?
He has all these kashas that are bothering him. So
he didn't ask a kasha on Abaya. He just decided to give his own answer, and we had a kasha on that answer. Oh, here comes a new one.
I hear. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, I don't know. Well, they have different ways of thinking, I guess. That's what you'd have to say. That's also balabatish. I'm in balabatish mode tonight, right? Okay, so let's see weiter. Right, we just said this one out. We said if that's the case, a cloudy day, even the fourth hour. No, the fourth hour is when everybody eats. So the stomach starts grumbling at the fourth hour. Everybody knows when it's the fourth hour because that's when you start getting hungry, right? Okay, so what's a pshat in that? So again, we're basically that everybody could tell the time based on their stomach. Fourth hour is when you eat breakfast. When you don't eat breakfast that day, you say, 1 second, it's the fourth hour already. So I still eat chametz, but right after that, I have to stop eating it. The question is, the bottom Tosfos asks, so why
didn't he go to his siyum?
What?
Why didn't he go to his siyum?
That's a good question. Maybe
is it the fourth hour when he wakes up that he gets hungry?
That could be one. What we're going to see in the
So
Gemara.
then all these numbers are off.
Right. So we're going to see in the Gemara about that. Well, also the L'chaira, then who says they washed by the Siyam? It was just maybe a snack. Maybe. Right? But Tosfos asks, why don't you say it by Eidus? Right? So Tosfos says you can't say this reason by Achila. I'm sorry, you can only say this by eating. You can't say this by Eidus. I'm not exactly sure why you can't also say it by Eidus, but that's what the Gemara is saying. Okay, so now this is a repeat Gemara from Shabbos. Tarabanan. Shari Shaina Michael Ludim. The first hour of the day is when the Ludim eat. Right? That was some sort of obviously we're big eaters. Shnia.
Cannibalistic tribe.
I hear. Okay, so whatever it is, they were people that obviously like to eat. So they ate breakfast 1 hour today. Shnia Michael Listen. Shnia was the robbers. Shlishis Michael Yarshin. Shlishis is the Michael of Yarshin, meaning those are the guys that Yarshin lots of money, so they don't work too hard. Revius Michael Poyolin. The 4th hour is when the workers eat. Chamishis Michael Tamid Chachamim. The 5th hour is when the Tamid Chachamim eat. Shishis Michael Kaloda. And the 6th hour is when everybody eats. So you see a brisa here is that it's at the 6th hour that everybody eats, not the 4th hour. But didn't we say that the 4th hour is the zman for everybody to eat? Elo epoch, Peretz's favorite teretz, right? Elo epoch, so switch it. Revius Michael Adam. The 4th hour is when everybody eats it. Chamishas Michael Poilim. That the 5th hour is when the workers eat. Shishas Michael Tamid Chacham, and the 6th hour is when Tamid Chacham eat. Mekan ve'elach kezayrek even lechemos. After that, it's like throwing a stone into a flask of wine, which we said when we learned Shabbos, right? That the pshat in that is that when you have a cup of wine or a flask of wine, and you throw a rock into it, so it overflows. So it makes it seem like it's fuller, but it's not fuller. You don't have any more wine in there than you had before, even though it maybe looks like that. So that's the same thing when you don't eat until chatzos. So you may feel full, but the bottom line is you're not full, and the food is not going to be affected. Which we said also is the source for people fasting until chatzos. Right? We say, if you don't feel well on a fast, at least fast till chatzos. Shot in that is because your food it's not going to negatively affect you, but it will not give you the same sustenance as if you eat before the 6th hour. Okay, so I'm going to buy a letter.
That's not Mixas Hayom?
Mixas Hayom is any fraction of the day.
I thought that was the okay.
No, the pshat in chatzos is because like this, even the food that you eat on the fast day is not going to satisfy you. That the same way, which I think the Hamoinam knows that if you don't eat anything until after halfway through the day, till chatzos, a lot of times you still feel schwacher the rest of the day. I don't know about you guys, but that's right. I mean, a lot of nutritionists say that breakfast is the most important meal. But yeah, okay. So I'm gonna buy a loy.
Why isn't this whole brisa a steer to the Gemara? Why we wait 6 hours between basar v'chalav?
Why?
The whole reason of the Gemara there was because people eat twice a day, the beginning of the day and the end of the day, and in the shorter days, that equals 6 hours.
In the shorter, yeah, okay. So there is a shita that holds that it does go with shoyz manius. There is a shita.
But then where does 1 and 3 come from?
Nobody really knows where 3. One comes
one
from.
Is a Zion.
One, 3. Nobody knows where 3 comes. So there's one sheet in the Rishonah, but there is a sheet that's brought on the side of Shulchan Aruch. I forgot who it is. That says that in the winter the 6 hours gets adjusted down to 4 hours. But,
Miri, I think.
Yes, I don't remember who it was.
How come we don't pasken like that?
We do not pasken like that.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately, we don't pasken.
I know
like
we
that.
don't. How come?
I don't know why we don't pasken like that.
Yeah.
In the summer, you'd have to wait 10 hours.
Right, that's true. You'll lose out in the summer if you go with that sheet.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, but either way, this Bryce is a steer to that.
I hear. I don't know.
It's if I get the Bryce is a raya to the Talmid Chachamim part of it. The first part of the Gemara there was Ravuna waited 24 hours. Right. So here you see Talmid Chachamim eat a chatzos. They eat once a day. That's it.
I hear you. Yeah. Yeah.
Makes the teretz from before a little clearer about Rebbi Yehuda saying if we don't make them get off the couch to eat, they won't get the wood. He's talking about the Talmidei Chachamim who are learning. They're too busy learning. They won't go get wood.
Oh, okay. That maybe, but if they're Talmidei Chacham, you'd think that they would be careful about getting wood, right? Okay, let's see about it because we want to try and do another Amud. Some Rabbi Elohim or El Delay
The Talmidei Chachamim would have.
The what? Cut off. Okay, I'm Rabbi Elohim or El Delay Talmidei B'Tzafra. That's only if you didn't taste anything in the morning. About Talmidei B'Tzafra, if you taste anything in the morning, less lambo, then this is not a concern. So that's if you have a little drink in the morning, then even if you don't eat till after chatzos, you're okay. So now back to our Gemara. The same machlokes we have by edus, so we have this is the machlokes by chametz. So where it says pshita, hainu hachtaminu, that's what we've been talking about. We've been comparing testimony to Pesach. Now, so when it says hakamash malan shinuya deshninan shinuyu, the answer that we've been giving is the right answer. V'loy tema tanoihi, don't say that it's a machlokes tanoim, meaning the same machlokes Ramei and Rabbi Yehuda that say that a person either make a mistake of an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, right, is the same machlokes by testimony and by chametz. And don't say, well, maybe they really both say 1 hour and it's a machlokes amarayim as to what the tanoim's hours were. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that it's the same machlokes, and the teretz we've been giving is the valid teretz. Fine. So Amar Rav Simi Rashi Loishon Ela B'Shois. This is only talking about hours, right? Aval echad omer koydem hanetzachama, echad omer achar hanetzachama. But if one of them says that it happened, one of the witnesses said that it happened before sunrise, and the other one says it happened after sunrise, edusan betela, their edus is batal. Pshita, the Gemara says it's pashat. If one said that it's before the nets and one said it's at the nets, during the nets, the edus is batal, because you can't make mistakes like that. So it says hanami pshita, well, that's also pashat, right? Before the nets is darker than during the nets. So now the same, no. So you would have thought that they're both saying the same thing, before the nets and at the nets. Now we're on to the next Amud. The reason why he said it happened during the nets is hachama bigiluya hava, that the sun was glowing, right? It was glowing. The chazan, all he was seeing was the rays, right? Kamash malan, that even that, meaning a person, the Gemara is saying that you would think that the person can make a mistake because the rays start coming up over the horizon, and you think, oh, it must be the sun has risen, and it has not. It has not risen yet, which is interesting for anybody that ever davens nets, right? So sometimes it's hard to see, but in the Shifa Rockaway, they daven in the second floor, the nets minion, and it's mamish looks light. The minute or two before the nets, it mamish looks light. You think, why is it not nets already, right? And because the rays are coming up, but the Maisa, the sun itself is not up. So you would have thought that you make a mistake. Kamash malan, that you don't make a mistake. Fine. So Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Halacha Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Nachman says that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, right? That you stop eating chametz by the 4th hour. The 5th hour, it's in no man's land, and you meaning you're not allowed to eat it, but you don't have to burn it. And then in the 6th hour, you burn it. So Amar Le Rav Nachman v'nei Amar Halacha Rameir. The Sasam Lantana Kava say, why don't you say that the halacha is like Rameir? That because the Stam Tana Pasken's like him, the Tanan, and this is the first mission of the next parak, the Tanan, Kol Shoshim Mutter Lechel Machal. Anytime that it's mutter to eat, it's mutter to feed your animals, right? So who's that like? If it's mutter to eat, it's mutter to feed, right? That sounds like, but there is no middle time, right? As long as you're allowed to eat, you're allowed to feed. The 5th hour, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you're allowed to feed, you're not allowed to eat, right? So it sounds like that's Rameir. So why don't we say Stam Mishnah is like Rameir? So he loves Stamahu Mishum Dekashi Mutter. No, that's not a Stam Mishnah, because there's an extra word Mutter in there, because the Mishnah should have said Kol Shah Sha'achal Machal. Why does it say Kol Shah Shemutter Lechel? Therefore, we say there, and obviously we'll get to this in the next week and a half as Hashem, right? So we're going to say that it means that it's talking about the 5th hour is hanging in no man's land. So therefore, we can't say that that Mishnah is like Rameir. Second Gemara says, "V'nei memar halacha k'Rebbi Gamliel dahavalei machriya." Why don't we say that halacha is like Rebbi Gamliel? Because he's the machriya. Meaning, there's a machlokes Rabbi Yehuda and a machlokes and Rabbi Yehuda Rameir, and Rabbi Gamliel seems to go with Rabbi Yehuda. So he should balance. He should tilt the balance towards. He should tilt not the balance. He should tilt the shita towards that one, right? Not like Rabbi Yehuda. So I'm related Rabbi Gamliel la machriyahu. Rabbi Gamliel is not a machriya. Tam de nafshei kamer, because he's not saying like that. He has his own reasons why he's saying it, right? That's meaning he's not getting involved in machlokes Rameir and Rabbi Yehuda. He's saying his own. He's saying his own shita, right? And Tosfos asks, "What do you mean?" So, but Lamaisa, the Mishnah in the second parak is like Rabbi Gamliel. So why are we not passing like Rabbi Gamliel? Okay, that's Tosfos kasha. But anyway, saying Rav da Amar ki Tana. Rav is going like this Tana. The Tani Arba Shechaliyas b'Shabbos. Right, this year Be'ez Hashem is going to be erev pesach is falling out on Shabbos. So what do you do with your chametz? What you do is you burn all your chametz before Shabbos. This is halacha l'maisa, so the olim should pay attention. So you get rid of all your chametz before Shabbos. The sarfin trumas tameus tluyas v'taharis, and you burn truma that's tamei or that's a suffix and tar. Meaning you got to burn all your truma before. And from the tar food, you leave over enough food for 2 sudas, right? For the Friday night meal and the Shabbos morning meal. Ad choice, that you should be able to eat chametz until the 4th hour. Right? Divi Rebbi Elazar ben Yehuda, Ish Barsusa. That's what Rebbi Elazar ben Yehuda from Barsusa says. Shamar b'Shem Rabbi Shua, that he said in the name of Rabbi Shua. Amrulai tahiris lo yisrafu shama yimtu behen len eichlin. Why are you going to burn your tahiris? Why burn the truma tahira? Maybe you're going to find somebody who a kohen, right? Maybe some kohen is going to come. They're coming up to Aliyah L'Regel. How do you know that they didn't get stuck out of like we said in erev? How do you know that a guy didn't get stuck out of town before Shabbos? He's going to come rolling in there on Shabbos.
He has a son-in-law who's a kohen. They're coming to him for Sidorim.
But they didn't show up. If you know it, then yes. But they're talking about that they're not there. So he's saying, right. So he's saying, why don't you be chayshid?
They got stuck on the 9.
Right. So Shema Yim Tzulan Eichlin. So Amrlen Kfar Bikshu V'Loi Matzu. What do you mean? We already looked out for people and we didn't find any. Amrloi Shema Chutz L'Chaim Melano. Maybe they slept outside the walls. Amrlem L'Devreichem Af Tluyas Lo Yisrafu. So according to you, right? You got to love this kasha. According to you, even the suffix truma you shouldn't burn. Shema Yovi Eliyovi Tarim. Right? Meaning the tluyas, the stuff that you're not sure about. So what's going to happen? Eliyahu Navi is going to come. He's going to say which one's a tar, which one's a tamei. Okay, maybe he's going to show up on Shabbos. So why should you burn it before Shabbos? We already have a haftacha that Eliyahu Navi is not coming, not on erev Shabbos. Right? We had this, and not on erev Yom Tiv, because it's a tircha. Right? So therefore, we know he's not coming.
Why does the Mishnah say? Why does this Bryce or Mishnah say that it's only 2 sudas? Aren't we makbid to do 3 sudas before mincha? Meaning we're makbid to do everything like eating real chametz. Like so from this Mishnah, mashma you only do 2. You only save 2, which we don't do. Halacha ma'aser, we don't do that.
Well, I mean, we end up having shalosh.
We're makbid. Yeah, we're makbid to have shalosh sudas even before.
Correct. I don't know. Why, you don't like that kasha, Rabbi? What's the problem?
Because I personally don't do it, so.
Oh, you don't make shalosh sudas on erev pesach?
What? In the morning to have 2 sudas by 9 o'clock in the morning, no.
Right, I hear. You must be a Talmud Chacham that you only eat by chatzos. I'm more like the cannibals that eat already in the first hour. So in the 3rd hour, I'm good, right?
This price is a riot to what we do. We split the second Suda into 2. So all you need is Muslim Shtei Suda.
It's not the way Rashi explains it, but fine.
You're saying, listen, I hear.
Rashi's mashma, we do it by mincha time, and therefore we only end up having.
He's right. Akiva's right. From Rashi's mashma that you don't eat like Rabbaran. It's mashma like you from the Rashi.
Correct. Right.
I saw that.
Mamash, we don't eat 3 sudas.
The Mishnah doesn't pasken like that. We don't pasken like Rav.
Correct. But if
That's
he's
what
saying
I'm
this Gemara is a
asking.
raya. He's saying this Gemara is a raya, though. That you
Why are we not
shouldn't have
positive like that? There's no other Gemara that discusses this.
Right. So you're right. Listen, Akiva, keep it in mind when all the kanoim this erev Pesach coming up with the cheshbainis, how to making shalosh shudas. Keep it in
the
mind.
one time I'll feel good about myself that I don't need 3 sudas.
There you go. I knew that's where you were headed with it.
Exactly.
You want to bring a proof that you don't have to eat shalosh shudas.
We drive ourselves crazy. They walk around the block 5 times so that we don't have to, so you can split the sudas and we wake up at the crack of dawn. You don't even need to do that. Wake up at 9 o'clock, have your regular suda, whatever, and move on.
Well, 9 o'clock might be too late. 9 o'clock might be pushing it for the 4th hour, right? But yeah, you're right.
Doesn't the Mishnah Berurah and erev Pesach have this Rashi in mind? This is where he says you eat knedlach erev Pesach.
I haven't looked at that Mishnah Berurah in 13 years.
Mishnah Berurah says, there's no one place he says you need knedlach. Otherwise, what do you have? You have no chametz, you have no matzah. What do you eat?
Right. You're right. That sounds right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so Amru, we'll have to revisit this. Bez Hashem. Yeah. So Amru, they didn't leave from there till they were kavei halacha like him. My love. So what is we saying? Afilu lechol. So didn't they say that halacha is like him, even by eating, right? And that you can't eat chametz after the 4th hour. No. It means to burn it, right? They made the halacha like him that you don't burn it till the 5th hour. Fine. Then Gemara says, "Va'af Rebbi savar lahad Rav Nachman." Even Rebbi holds like Rav Nachman, right? Now this is very interesting because Rav Nachman is an Amoira, right? Rebbi is a Tana. So we're saying Rebbi is going like Rav Nachman, right? So meaning a lot of times a guy's sitting in Besmedrish, so the kid will say, I think Rashi is saying like Rabbi Akiva Eiger. So of course the Rebbe says it can't do that. Trying to teach a little history, right, to make sure the kid knows that Rabbi Akiva Eiger came way after Rashi, right? But Lamaisa here was saying Rebbe is saying like Rab Nachman. It doesn't mean that he's holding of the same halacha. Okay. Vav Rebbe Saval Rav Nachman, Dama Rav and Bar Rav Adam, Maisa Ba'adam Echad. Shivkid Diski Amalei Chametz Eitzel Yochin and Chakuka. Right, there was a guy gave a thing full of chametz to Yochanan and Chakuka, to watch. And the Akbar came and made a hole in it. And all the chametz is spilling out. Right, Rebbe Shari Shaina. They came to Rebbe the 1st hour of the day of erev Pesach. Right, and Amrullah Hampton. Wait, maybe the guy will come. Right. Maybe he's going to want to eat the chametz. Shnia, Amrullah Hampton. It's the 2nd hour. He said, wait. Shlishis, Amrullah Hampton. Wait. Ravias, Amrullah Hampton. And the 4th hour, he said, wait. Chamishis, Amrullah Tzeo Marcher B'Shuk. In the 5th hour, he said, go sell it. My love, Lenachrim. Didn't he mean to sell it to Goyim? Rebbi Yehuda, and means that Rebbe held like Rebbi Yehuda, that you're allowed to sell in the 5th hour. Or Rabbi Yosef, Loyli Yisrael. No, he meant you could eat it, but you can't eat it in the 5th hour. So Rabbi Yosef, no, he meant to sell it to Yisrael, Kerem Meir, who holds that you're allowed to eat it into the 5th hour. So Gemara says, so why does he have to go sell it to Yisrael? Take the chametz yourself. Right? Again, the point here is that it's a Shabbos Aveda. Right? So why does he have to go sell it to somebody? Let him keep it himself and pay the guy whatever it was worth. So Gemara says, Mashum Chashada. No, because then people are going to be choshed him that he did something wrong. Tanya, Gabay Tzedakah, Shein Lemaniyim Lechalek. So let's say Gabayim Tzedakah, they don't have any aniyim to give out the food to, right? Or the money. Partin la'acherim. They have to. So basically, what they do is you take the money, copper money. Rashi says the copper coins get decayed, right? So if there's no aniyim to give it to, you got to make sure your money doesn't get wasted. So you have to be paid it onto silver. So you shouldn't be the guy. If you're the Gabay Tzedakah, you shouldn't be the guy to give the silver. Because people, you shouldn't money change the money for tzedakah. Because people are going to be choshed that you're pocketing some of the money. Vein partin la'atzman, and we said that you should do it for others. You shouldn't be pirated for yourself. Gabay tamchoy, and the guy from the tamchoy, which is the weekly tzedakah, shein lamaniyim lechalak, who don't have any aniyim to give out the food. They should sell the extra food to others. They shouldn't sell it to themselves. Why? Because you want to be nucky. You want to be nucky to Hashem and to Yisrael. So you don't want anybody to think you do anything wrong. That's why Rebbi said that you can't. We had a form of it, but that's what Rebbi said, that you can't. Rebbi didn't say. Rebbi said go find somebody to sell it, and he couldn't keep it himself. So right, this again, we haven't had this in a while. We had it a bunch of times in erev. Rabbi Yosef forgot his learning, right? So Rabbi Yosef, yes. So usually it's Abaye here, but here it's not Abaye. Rabbi Yosef had said no. Rebbi said to sell it to a Yisrael. So they reminded him. They said we were there. They didn't say we were there, but Ferish Amalon, you told us that he said go sell it to a guy like Rabbi Yehuda. So therefore, Rebbi is passing like Rabbi Yehuda. Fine. So Amar Rabbi Yosef, Kaman Ozlo Hoshmaitza the Rebbi. Who does this Shmaitza Rebbi go like? Right? That you can sell it. You sell whatever it is that you're watching before it loses all its money. It's going like Rav Shimon Gamliel. The Tanan Hamafkid Peiros Eitzel Chaveira. Somebody gives fruit to his friend to watch. Afilu in Avudin, even if they're getting lost, like meaning they're getting rotten. And don't touch them. Rav Shimon Gamliel, no, sell it and give the guy the money. At least you're saving him something. Only when you're not going to lose more than what it normally decays, right? Every fruit normally decays, and everybody knows that when they're giving it away. Even Rebbi is maida that now the Tanakama is maida that if it's getting decayed more than normal, then sell it in bezdin. Kol shekain here the upside the lagamri that here by erev Pesach it's a total loss. So it's not necessarily right. Meaning, we thought that maybe it's a machlokes whether you should be selling this chametz on erev Pesach, right? Because the Tanakama says you shouldn't, because we don't care if he takes the loss. We're saying no, here where it's vaday going to be a major loss, everybody would agree that you are supposed to sell the guy's chametz to at least save whatever little value you have left in the chametz. Okay, fine. That was a lot. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so tomorrow I guess 3:45 tomorrow, Baruch Hashem. Yeah. What's the Shabbos? I don't know.
Late. So
8, 9, whatever. We'll figure it out.
9.
After 8. After 8.
After 8. Definitely after 8.
8.
9.
Okay, we'll do it.
What?
8, 9.
4:30.
Listen, a person can. How about we could do 8? And for some people that make a mistake an hour, it's really 9. How's that?
8 in a bit.
Oh.
8 in a bit. 8 in a bit.
We pass like Rabbi Yehuda.
Correct. We pass like Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah.
This whole last Gemara is a raya of how careful you have to be when you ask a shaila to a rav.
Why are you
the whole
saying that?
shaila was he had a basket of chametz, and an achbar came and made a hole in it. We just had 2 blots about achbar and taking chametz who knows where, and the rav doesn't say anything about it. He just says whether you sell it or not. That's the whole shaila.
Again, what are you saying?
The rav is only answering the shaila that he was given. We just had 2 blots about achbarim and chuldas taking chametz places. Here you have, he saw the achbar come and make a hole in his chametz basket, and they're not chayshish about anything.
Right.
Just shows you have to. A rav can only answer the question that he gets.
So you're saying that he got a shaila
about an achbar. The achbar came, did a hole in this basket of chametz, and the chametz is leaking.
He didn't tell him to go do a bedika in his house.
He didn't tell him to go do a bedika.
Question.
Oh, I thought you were saying something else. You're saying that a rav only answers the shailas
he got.
That he's
asked about chametz. What to do?
He was asked. That's what he asked.
Meaning you don't make drishas v'chakiras, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you should have told him make a bedika of the whole block.
Very good. Very good. Very good. I like that. I like that pshat. Very good. Yeah. All right. Fine. I gotta go. Saida. Peretz, how's work, Peretz? Shkoyach to you.
Good night.
Peretz, how's work, Peretz?
I gotta stop the recording in case nothing's listening.